So in Unscripted, there are kind of two main tracks of responsibilities. You have what's considered production, which is more like logistics, accounting, legal releases. And then you have story, which is more of the actual filming and editing of the show. In story, you have the producers that are dealing with cast, they're dealing with camera, they are making sure that they are capturing what will end up being the story of the show. So let's break down the different positions and what they do in Unscripted. We'll start with story and work our way from the top and work our way down to the bottom. Mind you, this is just a quick overview meant to introduce the topic. A showrunner or executive producer is the CEO of the show. They are the final decision maker besides the board, which would be network executives, maybe production company executives, but they're kind of on the outside of day-to-day operations. The showrunner is actually involved with every single choice and decision that's made while actually filming the show. From dealing with cast, to signing off on locations, to signing off on props for recreations, to signing off on lighting looks and story beats, as well as crew movement, personnel movement, even lunch. So every decision goes to the showrunner. It can be a lot, but for the right type of person, it's perfect. You know, it's kind of like being a director on a film where every single decision is run through you. I started as a small story assist, worked my way all the way from associate producer to field producer to senior producer to supervising producer to co-EP and now EP or showrunner. Next level down is the co-executive producer, which is the right-hand person of the showrunner. Because shows get so spread out and the showrunner can't be in every single location, the co-EP basically takes on the showrunner role. It's typically someone that has a ton of experience, that has potentially show ran before, but is just, you know, taking a lesser title and slightly less responsibility. The next layer down is the supervising producer, which it's just someone with a lot of experience. It's kind of like your middle manager. They have worked their way up, but they are not yet to a co-EP or EP level, but they understand story, they understand how to deal with cast. Normally it's someone that has had a couple years of experience doing unscripted TV. These upper producing positions can also be found in post. The next layer down is the producer level. This could be a field producer, this could be a story producer. The field producer is a producer that works in the field and they can do everything from directing cast to conducting interviews to carrying out what the showrunner's wishes are. The story producer can be found on set, but normally is just in post. And the story producer's main job is writing an episode. Back in the day, they used to use paper edits where they would get transcripts of the footage and the producer would cut those lines of transcript on paper and then glue them together and hand it off to an assistant editor who would then go find the footage, put it together in a string, and then give it to an editor. Now, because of technology, story producers do their own string outs and then they'll hand it off to the editor. Next, you have your associate producer. The associate producer in Unscripted is someone who is normally pretty new to the industry. Sometimes they have a little bit of experience, sometimes they don't. Mainly the AP is going to be looked at to take notes, to track story, to track outlines, to track schedules, and sometimes to write interview questions. And ultimately, their job is really important because they are going to keep track of all the minutia of what's happening in the show. What'll happen during a shoot, there's so many things happening, right? The showrunner could get a call from the network and have to leave the room. Another producer could be dealing with a cast member in crisis, leaving the other cast members in front of the camera, just chatting away. So now the two leader producers are gone. It's up to the AP to track that story. So when those other producers come back, they can inform them of what has actually happened. The best APs are people that are super detail oriented and, you know, typically love organization. The more organized you are as an AP, the further you will go because you can recall information faster, you know where it exists, and when someone needs that thing right away, you can find it. Next layer down is your production assistants, and the PAs do pretty much everything. From picking up trash to driving cars, it is the most entry-level job you can get in production. And now on to production. The production side is super important. Without the production side, you can't do the story side. Without the story side, you don't have a show. They work symbiotically with each other at all times. The positions of production in Unscripted are normally the EIC, the executive in charge. So that person is the top dog. And then next down, you'll normally have a co-EP or a line producer, and all of their main job is to manage the budget. Both jobs relatively similar, but you'll find the line producer most of the time in the field, while the EIC, unless it's a bigger show, will be back in the office. Below the line producer is the production manager. Production managers are pretty much always on set. They're dealing with everything from making sure lunch orders get in to making sure that we are constantly in stock with all the resources we need for the show. For instance, let's say a mic falls in the water and it's no longer working. The production manager will work with the audio mixer to determine that the equipment is broken, and will then go about working with insurance or the production company to find a replacement as soon as possible so the show can actually continue filming. So the line producer and the production manager will work in close proximity a lot of the time, helping book hotels, helping book rental cars, helping staff up the show. Doing everything from getting drivers to PAs to, you name it. You are normally the last person awake, and a lot of times the first person awake as well. It's tough. It's a tough job. And then under the production manager is a production coordinator. It's just kind of like a junior production manager. Every production in Unscripted is different and requires a certain set of personnel. So this is just a loose framework. Some shows you could have one person doing everything, and other shows you could have 200 people that all do just one single job. I would always tell anyone that's getting in this industry, try both story and production and see which one you like most. I'm just scraping the surface here, so stay tuned for more episodes talking about other departments such as camera, location, and segment. Hope you enjoyed.